And I want to welcome you into the Target Center here, 600 First Avenue North in Minneapolis. Webster Ford on the play-by-play call. I am to the left of Kyle Lindblom. He's going to be my color commentator today. And of course, we're on prep45.com, powered by Grand Stadium TV. And a wonderful day for a Timberwolves shootout, as it's going to be outside nice and cold. Great controlled 68 degrees inside the Target Center. And Kyle, we got a couple of good teams on the floor who are getting their starting lineups announced to them. The Grand Rapids Thunderhawks had a much more considerable drive than Lakeville North and the Panthers. And their drive all the way up, probably about a half an hour, as opposed to Grand Rapids had at least 3 hours to get down here. And Kyle, in your upbringing in basketball, in sports, and any type of sports travel, what kind of advantage does the shorter traveling team have compared to the longer traveling team?
Well, I guess it really depends on your mode of transportation. If you're lucky enough to, get a charter bus of some kind as opposed to a school bus, it's going to make things a little bit easier. But one thing that I've noticed in long travels, being from a small town in southern Minnesota, making the travel up here to the Target Center, going to the places around southern Minnesota, is that when you have a longer drive, it actually tends to be okay, because you get to talk to your teammates, you get to kind of relax, you get to enjoy the atmosphere. But a shorter nothing wrong with that. The opportunity to just sort of hop on the bus, be there, and then get into your uniform and get ready to play. Certainly an advantage there, none without saying.
I know in my experience just as well, it kind of had that same bit where we had to do a lot of driving from where I grew up, and it was that same thing where the driving actually kind of helped us get focused into the game a little bit more. That whole legs on the bus thing really didn't matter too much. We've got Lakeville North in their red jerseys with their white numerals and trim, and they are going to be on what will be looking, as you're looking at the court, they're going to be on the left side of the court right now, and on the right side of the court are the Grand Rapids Thunderhawks. They are in no conference in basketball. They're in Section 7-3A. Or 7-4A, excuse me, in basketball. And as we take a look at the Lakeville North Panthers, they're also in Class 4A. So a couple of big schools, and it's weird to think of Grand Rapids as a bigger school, but there's no other schools around Grand Rapids, so everybody has to traverse to get to school. And let's take a look at the starting lineup before we get the ball tip. Starting for the Thunderhawks, Adam Thompson, Evan Ryder, Trevor Elhard, Jonathan Shields, and the big stud, the sophomore, Alex Ilakainen, I think is what we have.
We'll call him Alex and make it simple.
Yeah, Alex.
He wins the tip, by the way.
And he does. And Alex Ryland, Connor Flack, Drew Stewart, J.P. McCura, and Bronson Bruno start things out for the Lakeville North Panthers. The ball goes to the way of the Grand Rapids Thunderhawks. It's in control of Adam Thompson. Nice spread offense put out by the Thunderhawks. Like to see a little bit of slow, methodical work to kind of get things going, and that's exactly what Grand Rapids is good at. Now some ball fake, and Kyle, we were talking off the air before everything started. The rims of the Target Center a little bit harder, aren't they?
Well, I was able to play here once back in 2001, and it took a good 3 to 4 minutes for the first basket to go in.
And when you don't hit the rim at all, it's very hard to get the basket to go, or the ball to go into the basket. So it remains scoreless, only 30 seconds into the game so far.
And we look at Lakeville North at 7-1 on the season, Grand Rapids at 7-2, but quite the disparity in points per game. We see an 84 for Lakeville North and only 49 for Grand Rapids, so we'll see if they can slow the tempo and keep this thing close.
And there's J.P. McCura with the ball as he dishes it off to the near side, at least near to us anyway, outside the three-point line.
Yeah, everything I read said this kid's got a lot of talent, lots of points. What is it, 40 a game he's averaging so far this year?
40 a night. He's already over 300 into the season. And that one, and you're looking at, we talked about the rim being hard, but in order to have it affected by the rim, you got to touch it, and sometimes that's going to be tough. And now Ilakainen, he tips it in, he tries to get inside, and it seems as though, and we talked in Grand Rapids, just a little over around 50 points a game, a big point disparity per game for the two teams, and you're going to see as your first foul finally gets called, as we'll see who it's called on. 25 White, that's Ilakainen. Yeah. Sophomore, he's already over 1,000 points in his career.
And rebounds, he could be, by the time he's done with high school ball, could be the leading rebounder in Minnesota high school state basketball history.
He would surpass Bram's Noah Dahlman, who is that current record holder. First shot up and out of the rim. Actually, it looked good coming off the hands of Alex Ryland, but all for naught.
Try it again.
And he got it. There's your first points of the game, almost 2 minutes in. It's finally 3-0, Lakeville North with the first blood.
Yeah, and with a big gym like this, it can be a little sketchy to start. You kind of got to cool down and remember where you're playing, and then remember it's just basketball.
And you got to have that old Hoosiers mentality. It's still 94 feet either way.
Yeah.
Lakainen's got some nice post moves. Reminds me of a fellow who wore number 25 on this very floor for a couple of years. A little nice footwork for like Al Jefferson's type of footwork.
And the thing was, Alex, last time down the court, shot that with the left hand, came up a little short. This time goes to the right and it goes right in. So that's a nice little thing to be able to use both hands on an inside jumper.
It's nice to see the defense rotating towards Makura, not having one single man on him and being able to maybe try to wear him down a little bit and not get him or allow him 40 points this time. They letting him play today.
They are. I was going to say it. I didn't think the playoff games for the NFL started quite this early, but I like that. I like a little bit of physical basketball. Get him, wake him up a little bit. It is only 18 after 9 in the morning here.
Yeah, it's an early morning and a long drive for the Lakeville or for the Grand Rapids folks, and really it's early this way. The 3-punt bomb, not a friendly rim here at the Target Center. Still hard. You gotta throw it off a couple of times just to kind of soften it up. I think.
Get the feel for it.
Swinging it around, and this is kind of, it looks a lot like the Wisconsin Badger type of offense, and then with that one post down low, which is of course Ilakainen. We're gonna call him Alex instead of just trying to guess with it.
His mother's probably sitting at home right now. That is not how you say his name.
Oh boy, and an interception of a pass up right at the top of the key. Driving in was Drew Stewart, and Drew Stewart. A fun fact about Drew Stewart: he's also the starting quarterback for the Panthers. Polars. When I saw North, I thought like Minneapolis North.
You are enthralled with the high school mascot nicknames.
When you do it for a few years, they stick, and. Grand Rapids, the Thunderhawks. A lot of times when you see the orange and black, you almost see a tiger. You expect a tiger as the school mascot.
You do. Perhaps a Bengal.
You don't see many Bengals in high school, but either way. Now into the corner for 3. Back rim, no good. Loose ball foul.
I will say this early, that Grand Rapids is doing a great job of moving the ball around. Lots of passes before that first shot. Where on the other end, we've seen Lakeville have a couple of breakaways and sort of tossing it up, and then it's going the other way.
Those passes, keeping kind of one of those where that old euphemism that the best offense is a good defense, but really sometimes when there's a team that you're playing against that scores 86 points a night, as the ball poked out of Alex's hands and goes out of bounds, remains Grand Rapids ball.
3. There was 3 red jerseys around him the moment he got the ball, and if they're gonna isolate him, somebody else is gonna have to step up today.
And when you look at it too, if you keep the ball 3, 4, just avoided the 5-second call. But if you keep the ball in your offensive end, obviously Lakeville North can't score. We're already 4 minutes into the game, and Lakeville North only has 3. The full caveat of moves for Alex Ilakainen, who has had a couple of baby hooks, now a fall-away jumper, and looks as though J.P. Makura got away with a travel before he fouled.
We haven't said his name very much. Like you said, 5 points scored between the two teams, so I think we'll see it pick up here in a moment. But yeah, it's been kind of sloppy ball handling on this end of the court thus far.
Lakeville North, not a stranger to the Target Center, playing in the state tournament last year, and now a drip and drive and a hoop in the harm for J.P. Makura. As we're mentioned, and we don't say his name, and now maybe possibly opening the floodgates as Makura averaging 40 points a night, already over 300 points on this young season, only 9 games in. Over 300 points.
If it works that way, I'm going to buy a Powerball ticket in between games here, because if we talk about it, then it happens, and I'll be very excited.
That's how it was. A nice ball tap out and an offensive rebound controlled, and Makura now has 4 straight points.
Back when I played, that was called a quick away. You get the ball, you have it in offensive position, one dribble to your left or right, shoot that jumper. It's hard to guard.
Yeah, it's that out of that triple threat position and swarming defense by Lakeville North. Jump ball tied up. Possession arrow favors
Lakeville.
That's the one thing they don't have on the Target Center scoreboard, because obviously they don't have possession arrows in the NBA. So I'm looking up. I'm used to looking for where the possession arrow favors, and of course we're behind the main scorers table, so we can't see that either. Makura setting up the offense. Almost surprised that with as much points as he scores per night, that it's not more of an ISO offense.
I would like to know if one thing, what is with the light blue socks? If there's any reason to that, if they're maybe doing that for another student. I'd like to, if we can find out what the light blue socks are about, that would be a pretty important part of my day.
We might have to Google it, that's for sure. 7-2 is the score. We're just under 5 minutes gone, just over 5 minutes gone. Swinging it around again. It's that motion type of Wisconsin Badger offense, almost as a ball poked out of bounds. Nice heads-up defense there by Connor Flack.
We're seeing that from this vantage point, Trevor Lehart is the number 15, sitting on that left Timberwolves logo down there. That's kind of his spot. He's gotten the ball there several times, shot and missed once, but that seems to kind of be his sweet spot.
Perfect lob play, but a little too much lob. Oh, how can you overthrow a guy who's 6'6"? I don't know how that works.
Ask Christian Ponder.
Oh, that's of course a reference to the Minnesota Vikings, maybe the former Minnesota Vikings quarterback, let's be honest. And he has not played here, but many professional NBA players have played in the Timberwolves Shootout from various, over 20 states represented. As now a three-point bomb up and no good. And no three-pointers have been made yet in this game. No, lies. The first shot was a three-point shot made by Lakeville North. Since then, over for both teams.
Clearly, Lakeville has the height advantage. The two guards on Grand Rapids are certainly much shorter, if you will, in stature.
Nice little floater up, and that's the rim just kind of working waries.
Yeah, that's one of those that's going to go in at home, but not here.
Ooh. Shooting it outside the NBA three-point line, and this is where high schoolers sometimes will get thrown out because of that color disparity on the floor. And now getting called for a travel is Jonathan Shields.
Colliding with J.P. McCura there, and I thought for sure that was a personal foul, but no, they let him play, and it's a travel instead.
Well, and the reason that it wasn't is because they were both kind of haphazardly going, and while he was trying to gain, while Shields was trying to gain possession, it ended up he shuffled the feet at the same time.
Right.
McCura up and under and in. And that's going to be a delay of game. Delay of game warning on McCura. You can't touch the ball when it comes out of the net.
It's interesting in the NBA games, you watch those guys try to get away from that ball like it's a hot potato. They just don't want to get that little foul there.
Yeah, and of course, and now they go into that nice little trap at the top of the half-court line. Up, under, and good. Alex Silakainen got it in.
And again, another one of those where that looked like the gentleman just not quite got there on the block, number 35 for Lakeville. Yeah, just didn't quite get there. He was set up, just not all the way, and that's why he's at the line for a three-point attempt here.
Hard off the front rim, and almost gaining a little redemption. Reed Zier getting the rebound off the missed free throw. So with about 7 minutes gone, it's 9-4. It's been a little bit of the J.P. McCura show, and missing a cutting Calvin Pisola. And shock and awe, McCura with another bucket. He has now scored the last 8 for Lakeville North.
And I've seen a little bit of pressure here being applied by Lakeville. They've gone sort of a half-court, three-quarters court press.
Now a little floater up, in, and in for Grand Rapids. Breaks the what has been a huge run for the Panthers. J.P. McCura for 3, still hasn't hit a three-point shot yet.
He's got a solid-looking jumper. I mean, if they're going to set screens like that, that ball's going to start going down. They're going to have to defend that better.
He's going to look good at Xavier next year, that's for sure, as that is where he is headed. Almost traveled. Gaining control, however, is Evan Ryder. Ooh, there it is. J.P. McCura up over top goes Michael Jordan, like he did on, I believe that was, help me out in the finals. Michael Jordan came up over top Sean Kemp, I think, back in the 97 NBA Finals.
I don't know the Sonics ever made the finals, did they?
Yeah, they did. They played against the Bulls once. I think they lost in 5. Either way, McCura got fouled on his drive, so it was a foul on the floor. No one quite yet in any foul trouble.
Still trying to find a rhythm out here, it looks like.
It's the early game. You're playing on an NBA floor. Kind of a couple of those things. Now a little ticky-tack foul down on the block. Is that on 32? Let's see what the man in the stripes has to say. Yep, 32. Drew Stewart, the starting quarterback. No. Yes, starting quarterback. Jeez.
It's an early game for you too, pal.
We're all waking up a little bit.
Sure.
It's nice to see a good amount of Grand Rapids faithful coming down, making the drive down 53 and Highway 2, and then probably picking up 169 at some point down there. Nice ball rotation for Lakeville North. Ball poked out of bounds off of the hands of Brunson Bruno.
I'd be willing to venture that I'd kept a better record. Neither team shooting above maybe 30% at this moment here.
Correct. I would even go as far as to say about no more than 28, 29%. Little floater. Every guard needs a float, and right there, Johnny Shields floats it in and brings the lead only down to 3 now. And at the moment, you see that Makura not on the floor. And the Kleenex wiped away the teardrop on that one. No points allowed for for Lakeville North.
That's the 4th rebound for Mr. Elakainen as he is cleaning up the glass down there.
As you take a look at it with a 3, as we're halfway through the first half, with a 3, this game could be tied at 11, 9 minutes in, and that's a little bit of a testament, I say, to the Grand Rapids defense, only allowing 11 points to the Panthers. And Elakainen from about 17 feet away. What do you say to that? He's got some range.
Yeah, you got to have that. I mean, that's sort of what we're seeing, in the NBA. Those big guys have to be able to shoot that elbow jumper. They've got to be able to step out and hit a jumper from time to time. They can't just rely on the down low ground and pound.
Nice hustle put out by Bruno, but all for naught. And now the Thunderhawks look to possibly take a lead. I thought as that ball was tried, a very nice entry idea by Evan Ryder, and it looked like it was tipped, but allegedly they've got the better view down there.
Right.
And as we take a look at it, a very good point made by Jeff Williams as Elakainen shot from over in the corner looked a little like a nasty boy from the late 80s, maybe a little Bill Laimbeer-esque.
I would agree with that.
And as now first time out of the game, it's been 10 minutes of play so far, and Kyle, first impression so far of really what has been a very evenly matched game.
Sure. I think Grand Rapids is moving the ball a little bit better. I think they're moving the ball from side to side and getting better open looks. We've seen Lakeville come down the court and shoot a couple of quick shots, a couple of layups in the lane, a couple of quick threes that haven't gone in. So I think we're going to probably see the coach down there saying, hey guys, let's slow it down. Let's run our offense. Let's get some guy. We've got this kid, this JP Makura, who's just lighting the thing up. Let's work our offense. Let's get the ball to him. Let's let them double team him and work to somebody else. And on the other side, you've got Elakainen, who is rebounding on one end, scoring on the other. And if his friends contribute, we could be in for a good ball game.
So far, a good ball game nonetheless. And of course, you're watching it on Prep45.com, powered by Grand Stadium TV. And of course, throughout the whole thing, you can also feel free to jump on Twitter and find both myself and Kyle. I am Webster L. Ford on the Twitter. He is Mr. Lindblom, Lindblom.
1-0. I don't ask. It's Swedish, I think. I'm not sure. I got to trace it back one of these days. I'll go on Ancestry.com and figure out who I am.
Either way,
yeah.
We continue on as you were mentioning before, talking about Makura, and again, he's still on the bench, getting a little bit of a blow right now. Nice little turnaround jumper, and a ball poked out of bounds. It will remain Lakeville North's
His
spot.
blow is over. He has returned.
Oh, thank you very much. He was shielded a little bit. I don't know how a guy who's 6'5" can be shielded, but especially from a guy who's 5'6". But we continue play. 8 minutes left in the first half. And Kyle, you were mentioning needing to slow it down, run your offense a little bit, and then making some dangerous passes a little. And now they are, in fact, slowing that down. A nice defense by Grand Rapids.
Did they slip into a 2-3 zone there momentarily? It looked like they may have.
It was a little bit of it was kind of a off man. Like they played the man, but then they were also sticking in a zone, almost kind of like a cover 2 in football. And now back into that Badger motion offense, maybe even a little bit of Gator motion. Made famous by the Corey Brewer and Joakim Noah Florida Gators. Also a little, like the Mike Brown Princeton offense right now by Grand Rapids. Gaining control is Evan Ryder. Looking to see what can happen for Alex Elakainen. Now for 3, front rim no good, and a rebound controlled by Lakeville North. And good idea to pull it back. 1-on-5 isn't exactly favorable numbers.
Right.
And what an up and under, what a move, and now 10 points for JP Makura, 10 of the 13.
And that was over Illikainen. I mean, that was two high school kids that are got bright futures going head to head right there.
Now doubling down on Illikainen, losing control and losing possession as well.
And you can tell he's rushing a little bit because he knows there's going to be two guys, maybe three on him. He's trying to get to the rim really quickly. It's one of those things that if he takes one extra dribble and maybe shoots that little jumper from the corner, it's going to be a lot easier than trying to run through two guys, which in my experience doesn't necessarily go very well.
When you try to go 1-on-2, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't favor yourself. So pass it out, for crying out loud. 13-10, 6.5 left in the first half. Nice cut, good pass, and regaining it, and now zipping it back, and now back out to Makura. And I'm pretty sure Makura is going to get called for that as he lost control. Yeah. Almost a frustration call, or a frustration foul, eh?
Yeah, one of those where you just kind of, the ball gets a little bit loose, and then somebody else grabs, and you think, I want to get it back, and then you grab an arm, and there you go, personal foul.
A couple of substitutions for the Grand Rapids Thunderhawks. Take a look, resetting the floor. Sam SMOKROVICH. Wow, SMOKROVICH, either way. And an up and under, trying to go Dr. J on it, is Grand Rapids, and missing. Now on the run, off the rebound is Connor Flack, and it's going to be team foul number 6 on the Thunderhawks. So one more, and we're going to get the bonus basketball going to the free throw line for 1-and-1s.
I thought Evan got there. It seemed like he was pretty well set, and he got pummeled over. The referee did not agree.
Again, that's why they get paid to do what they do, and why we get paid to do what we do. And JP Makura off the inbound and banks it in. And now he has 12. 12 of the 15. Quick do some math. What would that be? 4/5, 80% of the scoring? There we go.
I know. I can tell you every president in the last 25 Super Bowl champions, but math, no sir.
Has a missed shot by Grand Rapids, controlled by Makura. And now a three-point ball. Good. Perfect shot by Connor Flack. That wasn't Bruno, that was Connor Flack, dear overhead announcer.
It was probably the best looking three we've seen. He was open on the left wing, he got the ball, good rotation. No rim, nothing but net. That's what we've seen today.
And that's what you want to see. And it was good form. It was, as in a coach, you want to see that beef shooting, balance, eye contact to elbow, and follow through. And one this way for Grand Rapids trying to answer, and now they're down by 8 off the missed three-pointer. Under 5 to play in the first half. Kyle, both you and I were talking a little bit before the game off the air, and we were both kind of anticipating a little bit more scoring so far. Now another three-point ball, no good. Lots of hustle, and there is JP Makura. Almost got the bucket, but for his trouble, he's going to be awarded 2 free throws.
And we're seeing Grand Rapids again. That's the third blocking foul they've taken. A little bit of pounding on the floor. They thought again that he maybe got there for a block, but they're letting him play, and they're certainly bumping around down there.
And that's the type of, as long as it doesn't impact player safety as the first free throw goes in by Makura. And now, and again, now the percentage of scoring is even a little bit more. He was at 80, now just a touch over 80%. But as long as it's not impacting player safety, I like to see a little bit more of that. And the second free throw also good, as now Lakeville North is doubling Grand Rapids 20-10.
And we see that three-quarter press here where they kind of started at the free throw line. They're working their way in. And again, it seems like Grand Rapids had a guy open. They're maybe a half a second late on kind of looking up the court and gets in that open guy. There's the immediate double team on Illikainen.
Nice ball rotation, and Illikainen is completely doubled, and they're going to call. I think they're going to call the foul on the shot. Yep, Illikainen will go to the free throw line. Connor Flack with the foul. He kind of went up for the ball, but he got a good chunk of forearm.
I think that happened here a few nights ago, but the referees didn't say anything.
Hey, not until 2 days later. As the first free throw hard off the rim.
A sad Timberwolves reference for a couple of fans in the building today.
And unfortunately for the Wolves, yes, the NBA made mention, yes, we made a mistake, but too late, too soon, sorry. Illikainen's second free throw goes right in. Couple of substitutions off the dead ball. Take a chance to quick reset. SMOKROVICH back on the floor for Grand Rapids. Adam Thompson also on the floor. Looking at it, Cole Herring getting his first playing time. Ilakainen on the floor, and Hunter Doubles sets it up for Grand Rapids. We'll talk about who's on the floor for Lakeville North in just a second. But right now, with the ball is Reed Zier. Now to Flack. Kicking back outside now. A good, nice rotation, and this is where you'd want to see as you take a look, and you want to see a little bit more, almost kind of pushing it back in, as right now Makura is actually on the bench. Ball gained control by Grand Rapids. This is where Grand Rapids, in this final little bit of time, while Makura is set to check in on the next dead ball, you might want to take advantage of this,
right?
And possibly while the star is on the bench, get a little bit going. And SMOKROVICH for three, but no good. I want him to score 40 points just so I can continue to say his name.
One gentleman we haven't seen yet from Lakeville North, Simon Olanapikan. So that's another fun one to enter the game at some point here.
And on the drive, a offensive foul.
Now, is it still called charging, or is it a player control foul? What's the lingo?
In high school, they'll still call it a charge. In the NBA, they more go towards a player control foul, and they go more gray area in college. They kind of 6 of one, half a dozen the other, maybe 9 of one, 9 of the other. Either way.
I'm going to call it charging. That's what I like.
That's fair. That's fair. It's 20-11. Grand Rapids now, of course, has JP Makura back against them on the floor. Swarming defense, active hands, and JP Makura gains a turnover. He takes the entire Thunderhawks defense on and will get 2 free throws for his troubles.
You know, JP's taking this game over. I mean, we were at what was the score? 10 to 12, 12 to 13, and
yep.
Just from Lakeville, as they have certainly leading only by 9, but pulling away as the first free throw goes in.
Swells the lead back to 10. Second free throw also good. And a timeout called by Grand Rapids. And Kyle, you mentioned that though the lead by no means is insurmountable, but it seems that right now Lakeville North is trying to inflict upon their will in this game.
Well, I think what they've decided is that they're going to take Ilakainen out of the game. They're double teaming, they're tripling team. Anytime the ball tends to come his way, they're swarming to it. And I think Grand Rapids is going to have to find a way to get scoring from their other players, because if you take out their A1 guy, there's not much you can do. Now, I'm sure Grand Rapids would like to take out Mr. Makura over there, but he is taking the ball, he is driving it to the hoop, and when he's not making the basket, he's getting the foul, he's going to the free throw line, and it can the spread can grow just as quickly if you the clock isn't moving and you're adding free throws.
And that's the one thing too, you know, I mean, when you think about it then offensively for Grand Rapids, what I would think is then, okay, let's get the ball in and find out where JP Makura is on the floor and attack him. Attack him. This is the 2014 Timberwolves Shootout. Of course, there are going to be 4 games throughout the day today. The first one right now is Lakeville North and Grand Rapids. Coming up after this game is Bettendorf, Iowa, the number 2 team in all of the state of Iowa, taking on Cretin-Durham Hall. That's going to be coming up on this very floor upon the completion of this game, and then 2 more games in the afternoon. A full docket of games preceding our very Timberwolves taking on the OKC Thunder, the Russell Westbrook-less Thunder, which might at least hopefully bode a little well for us tonight.
And another tidbit of NBA basketball news, Chris Paul out 4 to 6 weeks with a dislocated or separated shoulder.
Yeah, either way, it looked painful. Now a swarming defense trapping him at the top, and they call a foul.
Wow.
Getting a little aggressive up on the top, but really great idea, because when you get that close, that half-court line almost becomes another defender.
Mm-hmm. You can see in Lakeville here they're trying to very, very rapidly put a dagger in here. They'd like to go into halftime with a double-digit lead, and certainly try to send Grand Rapids into the locker room dejected.
Just over 2.5 left on the first half clock. As you look at the scoreboard, it's 22-11. And really, yes, that turning point, Kyle, was when it was 13-10, and JP Makura said, I got it. As the ball getting swung around, Ilakainen still in the game. Now, big 3 for the man himself, SMOKROVICH, according to the overhead man.
A lot of first names the rest of the way, I think, today.
Now a nice try and an answer as the ball poked up off the miss, and on the run is Grand Rapids. Why'd you pull that ball up, son? Ilakainen on the rush, up and no good, but he got fouled. And he got fouled by Reed Zier. of Lakeville North. You know, this Timberwolves shootout, it's been going on, this is the 18th year, you know, and it gives us a lot of opportunity for high school players to play on an NBA floor, to play, you know, I mean, when we were growing up, you know, play where KG played, or, you know, to play where Kevin Love plays, you know, or for me, what's more important, where Simone Augustus and Lindsay Whalen win championships is the first free throw up and no good. But either way, I mean, a really fun opportunity for high school players to be able to get a little bit of a little run on the big Target Center floor. Yeah,
it's a neat thing. When I played here, it was a different floor. The logo was a little bit different, and I was back in December of 2001. And it's a really neat opportunity to grow up and be able to say, hey, every time you watch a Timberwolves game, I got to play there once.
22-15 is the score off the Ilakainen made second free throw. Ball poked away, perfect. Great defense there down low on the block on JP Makura. That's why you got to go up with the ball high. If you don't go up with the ball high, you can easily get it poked away.
And no sooner did we talk about Lakeville pulling away, as Grand Rapids has gone on a little run here in the last minute and a half to try and close in.
Perfectly placed timeout. It was, you know, I mean, it's just a little mini run, a 6-2 run, but it's brought the lead back down to 7. Now a three-point ball. SMOKROVICH, the bank is closed on a Saturday. I'm sorry, young man.
That would have been big. That would have been a big three had that one rattled its way in from the backboard.
Now Makura on the drive, and he follows his shot, and I bet that's going to be a Makura foul, and if it is, that's his second.
Another frustration foul, and JP has done that twice now, where he's driven the lane early in a possession, tossed up a jumper, and hasn't gone either time when they've had their set offenses when he's doing his scoring.
Now, you know, and when you think about it too, it makes it hard on the rest of your teammates, because you're not exactly sure what's happening. There's no offense run. That's just a player making a decision, going, I'm going, come heck or high water. And of course, now with that being the 8th team foul, the long walk down for the 1-and-1. And does not gain the bonus.
And there's very little more important in the game of basketball than making your free throws.
And especially when you can earn a bonus on it, you know, that's a point that you don't even get the chance to try for when you miss that first free throw.
I mean, you think about the number of basketball games you listen to where one team loses by 3 or 4, and you look at the numbers and they miss 6 or 7 free throws.
And a big hustle rebound, put back it in. Nick Oblak. Now with just 40 seconds left, the lead back up to 9. As Grand Rapids has been relatively in control most of this game, they have not yet trailed. It's been as close as 1. Now a 3-point bucket for Grand Rapids missed, and now Oblak with his second consecutive rebound. Not surprised if Makura will not play the rest of this half. And a little bunny missed. Ilakainen's got to get there, and he does. 15 seconds, now you hear the one shot. Almost, never mind, not one shot. Little post move, working on those pivot feet there. Now 3, 2, we got a 3-point bucket at the buzzer, no good. So that's gonna do it at halftime. 24-15 is the score. Lakeville North has the 9-point edge at the half. Of course, it's the 2014 Timberwolves Shootout. It's the 18th annual shootout. Taking a look, seeing if Jeff's down on the sidelines, and it doesn't look as though Jeff is quite anywhere on the sidelines for the halftime. So, you know, now at half, you know, Kyle, we're talking a little bit about Lakeville North and obviously Grand Rapids. When you're looking at it for head coach Dan Ellard for Grand Rapids, your team's down by 9. On average, you score about 50 points a game, just a little off the pace. What are some things that he's going to probably have as adjustments for his Grand Rapids Thunderhawks squad?
One thing is make your free throws. You can't leave points out there. You've got to make sure you do that. You also have to make sure that you're making your layups. There's been a couple of in-close ones that have not gone in, and you got to make sure you do those kind of things to win the game at the end.
And with that, now we're going to take a look and jump it down right to Jeff Williams.
Thanks, Webster. Right now we're here with the Thunderhawks coach, Dan Elhard. Coach, at halftime, you guys had a really good defensive effort for a while there, and now you're at a deficit. What kind of adjustments do you need to make in the second half?
Well, I think we need to get a little more motion offensively. I think a little stagnant. They're kind of expect that, but a little bit on the perimeter. So we got to get some cutters. We got to get some guys being a little more aggressive, attacking the basket. We got to score with these guys. They're a too good offensive team to hold, in the 40s or 50s. We know we got to get some production, and hopefully we can knock down some shots.
And then you seem to have brought a good cheering section with you today. Can you discuss your fan support who have made the trip down in this wintry weather?
Yeah, they're trying to escape the ice box up north there. So, yeah, we had a great group. I think we sold 60, 70 advance tickets, something like that. And we travel pretty well, and we sure appreciate their support.
Thanks, Coach. Back to you, Webster.
And as we come back up here into the booth, and we were actually talking a little bit about the Grand Rapids, some of the adjustments they're going to need to make, and you're talking about making some of those bunnies that they've been missing, making some free throws, but just making some baskets. They've had a lot of good open looks, and the rim just hasn't gone their way. A couple of bounces. I mean, 9 is by no means an insurmountable difference, and looking at it then going the other way, you know, the J.P. McCura-led Lakeville North Panthers. They're up by 9, but a team that's scoring 86 points a night or 85 points a night rather, they have been held relatively in check. You know, I mean, if anything, Grand Rapids can take a pretty big bout of happiness saying that, you know, they've held, you know, on average, if this game goes all the way out, they're only going to allow 48 points, which is about just a little over half of what Lakeville's used to scoring. You know, what does Lakeville need to do to keep this lead and then maybe make it a little bit more of a easier breathing at the end of the second half?
Well, the big thing is what they did early. They swarmed around Ilakainen. If they can completely take him out of the second half, other than maybe allowing him to shoot a half a dozen to 10 free throws, it could be smooth sailing. If Alex gets on a roll, if he starts distributing the ball and getting his teammates involved, there's a very good chance this game's going to stay very, very close. McCura has 2 personal fouls already in the first half.
Yep.
You know, not foul trouble by any means, but if he can maybe, you know, if he ends up picking up one early in the second half, you know, that's something you have to look at. And like you alluded to, when he's on the bench, whether it's for 30 seconds or 2 minutes, you've got to notice that and you've got to take advantage of it. You've got to get to the basket, you've got to make shots, and you've got to, if you get 2, 4, you know, it's one of those things where at the end of the game, if you've got 8 or 10 points while he's on the bench, you know, you're going to subtract a little bit from the damage he's done.
Yeah, and you know, force him to get on the bench. You know, I mentioned it during the first half. You know, go in and drive at J.P. McCura and make him create some contact. When he gives up contact, you know, he's got 3 fouls, and then after that 3rd foul, you know, go right at him again to try to get foul number 4, because with 4 fouls, he's not going to play. He's going to be sitting for a little bit, and that's going to take where a 9-point lead will diminish and diminish and diminish, and Grand Rapids can easily keep themselves in the game, I would think. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well,
70 advanced tickets, by the way.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, that's a good chunk of people that are like, hey, let's go down and check it out. You know, you wonder if they'll stick around, and maybe if they did this game, go get some lunch, come back for a little Timberwolves action later in the evening. But a lot of big sports going on today. There are two wild card football games. The Wild have a game tonight. Kind of a busy sports day here in Minnesota.
Busy sports weekend, to be completely honest. It's the opening weekend of playoffs. Lots of basketball going on. It's that post-holiday tournament weekend for all of the high school squads around the state. Everyone now officially, as far as in public schools, taking advantage and knowing that they're not even going to be able to have practice on Monday, doing a little bit more over the weekend. I know a lot of from where I'm at, up in the Mora and Pine City area, there's a lot of extra practices being scheduled today to make up for Monday. Mm-hmm. So it's a really big, busy weekend sports-wise, and it's fun as you look down. You see some. I'm trying to think. It looks like a little tiny Thunderhawks down there. I mean, it's the same colors, but there's orange and black all over the state. But yeah, it is. It's a tiny Grand Rapids youth team, and having grown up, I graduated from Bram High School, and you know, which has grown some note. Bram actually has played in the Timberwolves Shootout 2 years, and came away victorious in both of them, beating a team from Dudley, North Carolina, and one from Compton, California, during their state tournament and state title runs. This is the kind of fun area where you see kids playing basketball, 5th, 6th grade players playing basketball, enjoying it, making ridiculous mistakes, traveling when they get the ball, but having fun. And it's where your program, you know, this is where the Thunderhawks program is going to come from in 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah, and that's exciting. And I think the one thing about the Timberwolves Shootout is, like you say, some of the places, I mean, West Virginia, California, Florida, Texas, New York, Virginia, Missouri, Georgia, it goes on and on. All parts of the country, north, south, east, west. And of course, probably the best performance in the history of this tournament by Minnesota's Kevin Love.
Oh, yeah.
When he scored 41 points, 17 rebounds, 7 assists, going against his good friend and UCLA. They weren't teammates too. One of them, Kevin left when Drew Holiday got there. Drew Holiday now starring for the New Orleans Pelicans. And so, I mean, some of the names, and some of the states that are represented, this is one of those things that, 10 years from now it's going to be the 28th, and you're going to be talking about, maybe some of these guys. Maybe there's a couple of fellas playing in the later games. Make sure you stay tuned for that.
Oh, my heavens.
That have a very good chance of, being called by Adam Silver in a draft someday.
Yeah, I was going to say, why isn't it David Stern? But thankfully, David Stern will no longer be using his duties as the NBA commissioner after this year. It's 24-15 at half. And you were talking about some of those alums. You talk about even just the Minnesota alums that came from this state that played here and then went on to play professional basketball or even Division I basketball, or across the seas professional basketball. But like Sam Jacobson played at Park of Cottage Grove. They played back in, I believe, the very first Timberwolves Shootout back 18 years ago. Khalid El-Amin as well. Monticello's Joel Presbilla. Rick Rickert from Duluth East, I believe, is where he went to high school. And,
he holds the single tournament record for scoring 44 points in a game. Not too shabby, which is 44 more points than he ever scored in the NBA.
It was, in fact, 44 more points than he ever dreamt of scoring in the NBA. He did a couple of preseason buckets, but we all know that preseason points are about as useful as a weight loss program for Roseanne Barr. So.
That's not bad. I like to go with screen door on a submarine if I'm going to go with things that are totally useless.
Yeah, well, there is that as well. Yeah, and other guys that made some hay on this floor. Sebastian Telfair played here. Cole Aldrich from Bloomington Kennedy, who now plays for OKC. I believe he's still with the Thunder. And of course the former Mr. Kardashian, Chris Humphries.
And a couple other ones. Drew Gooden, who's played on about every team in the league. And then I didn't really realize it until I read it, but Josh Smith, who had many good seasons with the Atlanta Hawks for signing with the Detroit Pistons. A little more trouble this year, but there are some all-stars. There are some pretty big, important names that have been in this arena that have laced them up and played in a game.
Yeah, and it's really fun. The opportunities that these high schoolers have, and you got to give it to and someone who's dealt with and talked with a lot of activities directors. You got to give it to the ADs to be putting themselves out like this, taking the invitation. And we're looking at, as I'm looking over at Mike Peden, I believe we'll be heading over to Jeff Williams here in just a moment before the half starts. And again, it is half. 24-15 is the score. The Panthers have a 9-point edge over the Grand Rapids Thunderhawks. And the activities directors, this is a bit of work for them.
Sure.
And it puts their schools in a different type of mention. You have to be relatively good to even be coming down here or be invited down here. But in that same light, you also go
30 seconds.
30 seconds, okay, and you go into that light where you're kind of declaring yourself as good.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, they don't just let anybody come up here. I mean, you look at some of the schools that have been represented, going in from Oregon and from Missouri and Georgia. That they're not going to make that kind of a trip up here to play teams that aren't of a caliber, worth playing. I mean, I think 3 of the 4 teams that we're going to call today in the 2 games were in a state championship game last year, or at least the state final. You don't get there if you're not a good team.
And the other team, they lost to Apple Valley. So it happens. And with that, let's take a quick moment and toss it over to Mr. Jeff Williams.
And go.
I'm going to take every bit of what Jeff may have possibly been saying, and we're going to get ready for basketball in the second half.
I haven't heard an interview like that in ages. That was spot-on reporting.
Absolutely phenomenal, Jeff Williams, as he's sitting down on the S, and we are ready to go. 24-15 is the score. Ball in favor of the Grand Rapids Thunderhawks. Dribble drive, kick back out. Now 3-point ball. Back rim, no good, but a rebound controlled offensively by the Thunderhawks. So 17 seconds in, and the the Panthers have yet to touch the ball. That's always a good way. And ran out of court, Kyle Lindblom.
It happens from time to time. You take you're looking to pass. You're not necessarily looking at where your feet are, and you take and put your heel on the out of bounds line, and suddenly you're what was the gentleman from Antonio Brown from Pittsburgh that stepped out of bounds on his way to the end zone, effectively ending Pittsburgh chances of making the playoffs 2 weeks ago.
Come on, man. Now kicking outside. Now ball poked away on the floor, and not looking like a fool with the ball on the ground. Keeping it in control is going to be Ryland. Makura finally touches the ball for the first time this half, puts it up, and good. Oh, man. I am excited for Xavier next year. They have a good player in JP Makura.
I mean, just a lethal shooter. I mean, the moment he got the ball, you knew that as soon as he went up, that was a straight jumper, and you can't make it any better than that.
And even when there's that, there was a hand up on that elbow, it didn't matter. He was there. 26-15 is the score. Kick inside to Ilkainen. Kicking it back outside. There was a double down. Someone was open. Man open. Front rim, back rim, no good. Makura rips it out of the sky. A little bit of numbers right now for Lakeville North. Now 3-ball. Corner
that was
pocket.
NBA. That was NBA distance right there.
Oh, count it in. Alex Ryland, the senior, a 6-foot senior. And he makes it now 29-15. 5 points in this half. All of them by the Panthers. And as the GOAT says, you in when you should have outed on that one. JP Makura takes it to the rim, forces the contact.
And on the previous possession over here, Shields, he had the right look. He had Ellard open, and unfortunately he threw the ball to Ellard, and he was looking to do something different.
Check that. He didn't force the contact. He gave the contact, inflicted it, and called a charge on Makura. Makura, now with 3. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah. Like I said, that's early. 16 minutes and 15 seconds to go here. I mean, if you can get him to 4 here, drive at him, give the ball to Ilkainen, see if you can get a 4th foul on him.
And right now, with just over 16 to play, he's on the bench.
If you can't beat him, foul him out. Nice look.
Oh, my heavens. A perfect pass. Ilkainen finds a cutting, and now we'll go to the line.
SMOKROVICH. His mother's going to send you a tweet. Speaking of tweets, hashtag T-Wolves Shootout. That's the letter T, WOLVES, Shootout. Hashtag it. Say something. We'd love to hear from you.
Join the conversation. 29-15 is the score, or 29-16 now off the first free throw by SMOKROVICH. That sounds like a finishing move in a wrestling match.
Yeah. The flying SMOKROVICH.
SMOKROVICH. As the second free throw up and in. Hits every touch of the rim and goes in. Makes it 29-17. First 2 points of the half.
And seeing Grand Rapids go to a 3/4 court little zone press here if they can try and slow down Makura and his pals.
And for half a second, they had Ilkainen about 29 feet away from the hoop. And that's where you want him, that's for sure. Ball now into the hands of Connor Flack. And it almost seems, Kyle, like without Makura on the floor, the Panthers are a fine team, but without him on the floor, they seem a little lost. As a 3-point ball by Ryland up and no good.
I would use the word stagnant. It almost seems like they're moving the ball around, but then somebody's settling for a shot, and then here you go, a quick one and done, a quick rebound, and now a chance to pull to within less than 10 if they can get a bucket.
Ilkainen up, and Bruno went up straight up, and he leaned in just enough to get that contact on the wrist, so Ilkainen's going to go to the free throw line.
And the only problem with that particular move by Alex is that what you can't see looking is that there is some space between the backboard and the end line. He drove himself into that area. Now, it's awful hard to make a basket coming back that way, so that's just one of those things. As you age, as you learn the game a little more, you'll kind of know where you're at and try not to make that same mistake too often.
And just think, Ilkainen's a sophomore. He's got plenty of time to just learn. And Ilkainen drives and gets fouled. So, in about the span of about 12 seconds of game time, he has gained 2 fouls against Lakeville North, gaining them closer. He's a junior, allegedly. Either way, he in the media guide he was listed as a junior, but on the actual program or in the media guide he was listed as a sophomore. But in the program, he's listed as a junior.
He's actually 28, and he was drafted 2 years ago by the Golden State Warriors.
Yes, sir. 29-17 remains the score off the missed shot up and under. Now an elbow shot, back rim, no good. Nice hustle by Lakeville North. And I believe that was Nick Oblock.
He skied over everybody right through the middle with a little tip in there. That would have been a huge rebound had Grand Rapids been able to pull it down. And here we see again, 3 guys, and Alex is going to go to the line.
Oh my, like Ilakainen, he dropped the shoulder down. It looked like he was trying to get about 3-4 extra yards, and he just kept putting it down a little bit more. And that's, as they've let them play so far, that's going to be a call that if it gets a little closer, that might be, with about 4 or 5 minutes left, that might be something that might change as the first free throw hard off the rim. Ilakainen
that's 3. I think that's 3 that he's missed thus far. And I mean, yes, it's only 3 points, but in a game where you're down by a half, by a dozen, you need those points.
I mean, you take those 3 off the board, and now it would be 31-20 as the second free throw is good. He's made the back end of every single one. He's 4 of 8 from the free throw line now. Nice defense on that 3-quarter court trap.
Yeah, they're running Evan Ryder tired out there. He's been playing great defense
there,
all
then
night.
I see audio there.
So what I'm suggesting is maybe right now
It's now a 3-point bucket. Back rim, no good. And Evan Ryder. He got the rebound, and then he lost a hand, it seemed like.
They swarmed to him. It's one of those when J.J. Barea pulls down a rebound, the bodies they coalesce around a little guy like that.
Coalesce? Saturday morning? That's
It was on my word of the day calendar.
I'm not even mad.
I wouldn't be.
That's amazing. 13 points is the lead with just over 14 to play, and the aforementioned Ryder needs a little, I think he needs some athletic tape around maybe 2 or 3 of his fingers that were at least attempted to be ripped off during the rebound.
Give him a little shot of Gatorade and a little time to breathe there, and he'll be all right.
Yep. Ice it, stretch it, and you'll be just fine. Now again, Coach Ellard was talking a little bit about the offense being stagnant. At the moment, little stagnant. Nice little ball fake up over the outstretched arms. A perfect little shot. Nice shot there by Doubles.
Now, what I will say is, we talked a lot about J.P. McClure in this game, and we talked a little bit about Alex Ilakainen. Alex Ilakainen's making baskets, he's rebounding, and he's made some really nice passes. Yes, J.P. may put in more buckets, but right now, looking at this game, Alex is a more complete player.
Yep, I'll give you that completely. Different types of positional placement, but either way, completion includes the ability to find an open teammate. Now Bruno is open, attempts a 3-point bucket, and Ilakainen skies for the rebound. Then pulls it up on the bench, or on the sideline, and had been out of the hands, but gained control by Grand Rapids.
Unfortunately, then an awful spot to pick up your dribble, 45 feet from the basket, but a great pass down on the other end as well.
Ooh. And I was expecting a SMOKROVICH attempt and trying to go Reggie Miller on it, but he will go to the line as that's now already the 7th team foul. 12:51 left to go. And Kyle, talk about control. Lakeville North has 17 fouls. There's a big goose egg up there for Grand Rapids. So they're putting themselves in well position to have plenty of fouls to use and to waste if they're about to get blown past.
Now they got to make their free throws. If Grand Rapids makes their free throws the rest of the way, that's how you can sort of nip away at a lead. Now it's down to 10. Lakeville hasn't scored in the better part of a couple of minutes, and Grand Rapids continues to edge closer. And then again, another missed free throw on the back end there.
SMOKROVICH gets the 1 of 2. Akura still on the bench with 3 fouls. And Ilakainen, he has the one thing that he's going to need to work on is timing of when you need to pick up your dribble.
Yeah. Well, I think that the thing is, too, is they're passing him the ball out here at midcourt. Let him get down to where he needs to be. He doesn't need to handle the ball out there.
Nice ball rotation. SMOKROVICH inside the 3-point line and outside of the rim as the rebound is controlled by Lakeville North. 10 points remains the lead for the Panthers. Shuffling the feet, but getting away with it. Ryder, as you see, is back on the floor for Grand Rapids. Little floater, what a float. Ooh, no Kleenex for that teardrop of Drew Stewart's. And a no call whatsoever either way. And I like that no call as everyone was kind of going haphazard. And Evan Ryder tried to get out of the way and he couldn't, and he fouls. Ryland gets fouled, gets the hoop. We'll have a free throw in just a moment.
And it's this point of the game. Like I said, it's early in the day. You start to feel that little bit of fatigue. You see some guys yanking on the jerseys, got their hands on their knees. Now's when you got to dig deep and really work hard, because now that lead that was 10 just a moment ago has bloomed up to 14. And JP's going to be coming back in here eventually, and he's good for a few points when he's on the floor.
11:40 on the clock. 35-21's the score. SMOKROVICH with the ball gets it into the corner, and of course they are looking for Ilakainen. Nice ball rotation. Now setting it back up to Ryder for three. Back rim, no good, and ooh, nice rebound, almost out of the hands of Connor Flack.
I think that was the first possession I've seen, at least in this half, where Ilakainen didn't get his hands on the ball. They swung it around on the perimeter, but they never made it into him, and then they settled for that three, and it didn't go.
And then SMOKROVIChed him, and now we'll hand Connor Flack a couple of free throws.
We're seeing some of those ticky-tack fouls now. Guys aren't going up straight. They're starting to reach in a little bit. This is when you got to, maybe you got timeout here. Get some water into your fellas. Give them a chance to sort of re-energize, because you can tell some of these boys are starting to sweat a little bit, get a little tired.
First free throw is up and good as the lead now swells to 15. It's 36-21. The lead was 9 at half. It was a 24-15, and now so far it's been a 12-6 second half.
Cole Herring enters the game for Grand Rapids today here.
Sounds fishy.
Wow.
As the second free throw is also good. Making the lead 16 with just over 11 to play. Getting across the timeline is Grand Rapids. Over to Doubles, see if he can double step it. Over to SMOKROVICH, gets it inside, and a little too tall for Doubles. And Doubles picks it up, but it's going to be a backcourt violation. And now 4 minutes of rest because of his third foul. Makura now back in the game. You got a fresh Makura and a timeout called by Grand
Bernie,
Rapids.
I just wanted to try this, see if test, does it work from over here? I'm walking over.
Oh, it's working.
Good, thanks.
Flying by the seat of our pants.
Hey, it's the joy of broadcasting just in general, and as it sits right now, we're broadcasting from the Target Center here down in Minneapolis. I say down, I guess it would be up for you.
Yeah.
As far as for your drive, you came up from Mankato, I come down from Moore. We meet in the middle, as Diamond Rio says in their classic '97 song. It's the 18th annual Timberwolves Shootout, and this has been going on for a while. And Kyle, this is the type of thing where if you have maybe a more elite, or at least low-level elite type of player, this is a great venue for some of those players to get exposure to some college coaches, to even just having their name out there saying, yes, we've in fact had playtime on the big boy floor.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any opportunity you get to, there's a lot of media here, a lot of folks doing a lot of, videotaping, a lot of stuff, on the internet. I mean, any chance you have to get your name out there and have some of these people see you. I mean, I can remember in my high school days, it was a stretch if your coach was willing to, sort of let anybody know where you were going to be, but you had to almost do a little bit of self. I'm trying to think of what the word is.
You had to be your own agent.
There you go. Yeah.
Makura for three as he gets back into the game, and squeezing the rebound is Cole Herring.
Carry around a headshot everywhere, something like that.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Yeah, back when we were growing up, we didn't have the Facebook or the Twitter. We were lucky if we had the MySpace.
I can remember when the first guy on our team got a cell phone and we played Snake on those places.
As the ball's picked off by Lakeville North. And a huge block, they're going to call goaltending. No, they're going to call a foul.
Wow, that was a great pass by Makura. Just scampering up the sideline there. He found him. I say that Lakainen's making the good passes, and he may have heard me from up here. Because I can dish the rock too.
Yeah. Hey, you remember how you were saying I wasn't as complete of a player? Yeah, you check this out now.
Was Jeff, did he have his mic on down by the sideline? That's the only way he must have heard it. Goodness gracious.
That's about how it was, yeah. So now taking a look at it, Pisola had a one-on-one opportunity, doesn't get the front end, so no bonus. The lead is 18. 8 minutes gone in the second half. Ball into the hands of SMOKROVICH. Officially one of my new favorite names. It pales.
Is it in the running for your third child, perhaps? SMOKROVICH Ford. I think it's.
We can hyphenate it, eh?
Something like that. I'm thinking first name.
Well, that could do it.
His friends will call him Vish.
Or Smoky.
A
little left-handed baby hook put up by Alex Ilakainen. All for naught, but he'll get a little bit of a possible redemption as he's got two free throws coming his way.
Now, what are the chances here that
or smoke?
Or smoke, yeah. What are the chances here he misses the first one and makes the second one?
Well, much less now that he made the first one. That's like the opposite of a broadcaster's jinx, I think, on that, eh? Second free throw up and coming for Mr. Illikainen. If he wants to play at St. John's University, that's fine.
Wow.
Don't get the shooter! And a dunk by Illikainen on the rebound! He throws it back, and he gets a three-point play the hard way.
Box out, gentlemen. That's the only thing you can say to the fellas on Lakeville there. You got to put a body on somebody.
You got to get the shooter. That's the first person you're in charge of is the shooter. What a pass by Makura. Can't get it by Bronson. And we continue play. Bronson Bruno, another try. Now kicking it back out, resetting the offense. Now for three. Three-point ball, corner bucket, no good. Rebound controlled. Oh, a bailout foul by, I believe, that might be Reed Zier.
And there's Hunter Doubles again. Clearly, not quite as tall as Alex. Alex has his hands on the ball, and he's thinking, maybe I can get a rebound too. And one of those times, you just got to let your hands go and say, Alex, you're the bigger man. You take care of it. I'll get out of it.
You are on my team. And now as you take a look at it, 9 minutes, 10 seconds left. Lakeville North, from here on out, every foul they give will be double bonus basketball. My heavens.
Now they got to make the free throws. It's one of those, you talk about it all night. You got to have or all day.
All day. Alex Illikainen now gets the front end. Will it be the same thing where now he was missing the front end, making the back end? The last time around, made the front end. Hey, he's got two in a row. I
don't think Alex is going to miss another free throw in this game. He seems locked in from the line. He sees that he's the one that's going to have to kind of carry the load and chip away at it. I think he's going to be the guy that if Grand Rapids makes a run here to close this thing out, it's going to be on his shoulder.
If Alex Illikainen does not get to a D1 or a D2 scholarship, I would gladly like to see him in the Cardinal and Blue of St. John's University. Just saying. I wouldn't want to wish upon him possibly a University of St. Thomas thing. It would just be nice to see him in Johnny Red. Three-point ball. Oh, Calvin Pasola, the 6'1" sophomore, got it in and makes it now a 16-point lead. This is almost the biggest lead. The lead has been as big as 18. Smokrovich. Smoky. Now Illikainen for three. The man's got some range. Ooh, the man's got some range.
If he can count on his friends to play some defense down here, this is with 8.5 to go. We may not be done just yet.
42-29 to go, or 42-29 is the score.
Well, that's a travel. Nope.
Yeah, no, he kept that back foot. And now we're going to get a foul down in the lane, I believe. Doubles? Nope, not doubles. 15. Trevor Elhard.
I'm gonna take a shot in the dark. Trevor Elhard, Dan Elhard, possibly coach's son.
That is exactly it, in fact. They had a couple of siblings as well on the that are sisters. Very good volleyball players, as the Grand Rapids Thunderhawks went to the state tournament in volleyball and representing Section 7 AAA. Ball kicked down. Now this is where you might want to see Lakeville North kind of pull the air out of the ball a little bit.
I mean when we're not in the shot clock game here, so you can sort of just handle the ball and pass it around till you get an open look or run some clock.
Gold jacket, green jacket, let's play. 42-29 is the score, just under 8 to play. Trigger out of bounds, and
sadly you're not able to pass the ball to someone on the bench just yet in the game of basketball.
Nope, we haven't advanced that far yet, so I mean, though it did go to a Lakeville North player, he was currently very comfortably seated.
Yes.
So turnover, now getting into Grand Rapids possession. Ryder with the ball now to Doubles. Doubles back out, now kicking it to Smoke. I'm going to try different nicknames for the kid. I'm not going to lie. What a zip pass and getting a hand up on it. Ball on the ground, looking like a fool with the ball on the ground, and a timeout by Lakeville North. Taking a little less of the foolish ways away and regaining possession.
He didn't have the ball very long to be able to call the timeout there. He must have gotten it the moment he was declared to have possession. That ball was rolling around down there for a little while.
Yes, indeed. He had it, and it was one of those as he was about to roll, and if you roll with the ball, that's a travel. So as he's about to roll, he's screaming timeout. He didn't even signal for it. He screamed it, and a very heads-up play by Lakeville North to retain possession. Because obviously, as I was mentioning before, Lakeville North can't score if Grand Rapids has the ball. Likewise, Grand Rapids can't chip into this 13-point deficit in which they find themselves if they're on defense.
And then with 7.5 to go, you've got to be in the mindset for Grand Rapids. You've got to score on every possession. You've got to either get a bucket or get to the free throw line to get 1 or 2 to try and chip. And then again, play great defense. I mean, you've got the foul advantage. Clearly Alex is getting into his groove, and looking out on the floor, JP is out there, but they've kind of taken him out. I mean, has he made a bucket here in the second half thus far?
He made one initially right away to start the half, and he hasn't since.
Okay, that's why the jumper in the corner.
Yep. The aforementioned Makura, I think he feels like he's being talked about. Dribble drive, what a pass! He's turned into much more of a facilitator, as getting the foul is Isaac Brooks. He's going to go to the line, and where Grand Rapids was just 2.5 minutes ago with barely any team fouls, now they're at 6. So from here on out for them, for the rest of the game, they're in bonus basketball as well.
They add up quick.
One ticky-tack to Bet's another one, and the first free throw for Brooks is good. Isaac Brooks, the older brother of Carter Brooks. Second free throw, back rim, no good. Rebound controlled by Elakainen. And this is where you want to see Grand Rapids, who is usually ground and pound. They got to start having a little bit of urgency, even though there's an eternity of time left. You were saying, Kyle, they need to score on every possession. As the ball in control with SMOKROVICH. SMOKROVICH did 2 doubles. The cross-court pass has always lost its effect on me.
It's dangerous, to say the least. And again, here it didn't result in a shot. Again, they had to bring the ball back out and move it around. Here's Ryder for 3.
Back rim, no good, and that's going to be an over-the-back foul on Alex Elakainen. No 2 ways about it. So the long walk all the way down for the 1-and-1 free throw opportunity.
Sad to say, looking ahead to our next ball game, again, Bettendorf 5 with Cretin-Durham Hall, about 11 o'clock, give or take. I'm not seeing any names in the same caliber of SMOKROVICH to sort of hang on to.
We've got Sortillo for Bettendorf. That's kind of fun to say. But nonetheless, name fun recognition or either way else, it's going to be a good basketball game as well. Good basketball game on hands right now. 14 is the lead, a back rim free throw, no good, and a rebound. Gain control by Doubles. And Doubles now will take the long walk. I think for the final 6:39 of regulation, Kyle, I think we're going to have a lot of walks up and down the floor.
It could be you start to get tired, you start to to press a little bit. A lot of free throws going to be taken here. That can extend the game. But again, it's really right now the way Grand Rapids can inch back in. If they can start making their free throws, and the lead can. I mean, they can be back to within a dozen. These two.
Doubles gets the first one to go in. Now what happens with the second one? Back rim, no good. Leaves one at that 15-foot stripe. So the lead is is down to 13. Setting up the offense through Makura. Makura pump fakes outside the three-point line. No look pass, three-point ball, good. Oh, what a shot there.
And you'll notice there's a gentleman sitting on the bench for Grand Rapids, and that's Mr. Elakainen. I think that JP notices that, and this is their one chance here in the next minute to probably go for the juggler if they can force a turnover and get some more buckets.
A little cliched boot on the old throat as the lead has swollen back to 16 with just over 6 to play. Now Doubles, little floater, ooh, no good. Rebound controlled by Grand Rapids and a block. Big old block coming up over top is Isaac Brooks.
And the only problem for Trevor there is that he went up, he got the rebound high, he got to put that ball back. He brought it down to his midsection. Guys start hitting at it. He draws the foul nonetheless, but still, you got to keep that ball up in the air, put it off the glass, and make the bucket.
Don't even come back down with it. Play it like they're playing tip ball. Tight rope in the line is Ryder. And he'll get a foul, it looks like, on Brunson. Oh, lies. Alex Ryland was the foul. The fouler. Foulee is Ryder. 46-30 is the score. Couple of free throws, it brings it down to 14, but now, again, it goes into that urgency. You gotta start chipping and scoring and not allowing scoring on the other end. Taking a look at it, we talked about JP McClure. The first free throw is good. Earlier this year against Farmington, he scored 55 points. He scored 48 against Hopkins in a loss to Hopkins. As the second free throw.
Ugh. I didn't score 48 points in my entire high school career.
I didn't score 2. As the elbow jumper, no good, and this is and Evan Ryder sees a little bit of that urgency, but then pulls it back up.
You're looking JP McCurra right in the face on defense and may make you pull.
And there goes JP McCurra on the steal, coast to coast and a slam. Oh, perfect one-headed dunk for JP McCurra off the steal.
I would easily give half of my fingers and toes to be able to dunk a basketball, and we're going to get another one right here.
Here comes McCurra, double-handed slam. He two-fisted that one, and it's now 50-31, and in a very frustrated timeout call by Coach Elhard.
I don't want to be the first to say it, but there may be a fat lady warming up. 19-point lead with 5 minutes to go, and the momentum has clearly shifted. Like we said earlier, Alex on the bench, McCurra steps up. Grand Rapids didn't do that earlier with McCurra on the bench.
Yeah, they had the opportunity about 4.5 minutes of game time where McCurra was on the bench, and they didn't trim into the lead at all. In fact, the lead had swollen a little bit as well, which goes into that, though sometimes Lakeville North seems a little lost without McCurra, they're still a very good team. And and you take a look at it, as far as Lakeville North last year, they were 23-7. They lost in the state championship game, and not exactly a bad squad. Not exactly a bad squad. Grand Rapids has made a little bit of some stark improvement themselves. They're 8-2 again. They're not in a conference. They're actually in Class 3A, not Class 4A. Still a relatively big school for being up north. Coming up from where like 2 and 53 and 169 come together. Ryder with the floater and no good. Could not easy it in. And still, Alex Ilakainen finds his keister on the bench as the foul is called on the, I believe it was on 33, SMOKROVICH.
And just here's perhaps a strange question. Knowing you're down by 19, knowing that you've got a lot of conference games coming up in a season where certainly it's new, do you feel like a coach may sit Alex and say, okay, unfortunately we're not going to be able to pull this one out, and maybe it's time for you to just rest and not get hurt?
As a coach myself, my personal mentality would be, you know what, you need to learn how to, in a sense, you need to learn how this feels as the free throw is up and good. The lead is 21, 52-31 with 4:45 to go. I would put him back in, more just to keep getting him some run. Yeah. And yes, after a little bit, if the game continues to be out of hand, yeah, give your JV kids a chance to get a blow on the floor as well. As now a ball poked away by McCurra again. Third steal. Oh my gosh! Oh. He took off from about Rogers and he slammed it down.
I think JP McCurra kind of decided here about 3 minutes ago that he was going to come off the bench and just shut Grand Rapids down.
And he has done that, a driving floater by Doubles, and Doubles will in fact get a three-point play opportunity.
If you had 3 consecutive McCurra dunks in your second half office pool, you have won the big prize.
You're welcome. We'll take half of the pot.
And I think he's probably going to be done for the rest of the night. He's going to go take a seat.
Nice hand given to both Bronson Bruno and JP McCurra. JP McCurra heading to Xavier next year.
They're lucky to have him.
They are lucky to have him. They've already got, speaking of office pools, they've got my bid for at least second or third round if McCurra plays as he plays today. Oof, that's fun. Now ball floated up. Nice little motion offense. The lead is 20. All poked away by Doubles, but stays Lakeville's ball.
And you certainly see no quit, Lakeville. The guys that are on the floor are certainly working hard and going after it. Another thing that I've noticed, it looks like there's only 2 bench players for Grand Rapids, whereas Lakeville North has a full complement of a whole second and third group if they needed to.
Yeah, and that goes a little bit to size of school. 4A versus a 3A school, a little bit more enrollment. I know at Grand Rapids there are a lot more one-sport athletes. And a ball poked away by the aforementioned Thunderhawks. Gained control by Ryder. And as the game continues on, it seems as though Coach Elhard is content with leaving what seems to be his star, the junior Ilakainen, on the bench.
Sometimes you got to tell those guys, hey, you guys go out there, see what you can do. And I'm in the same mentality. You got to go out there and you got to play. You want your best guys on the floor, but you also don't want him to twist an ankle down by 20 in a non-conference early season game. So I think both sides of the die are certainly understandable.
You're starting to see a couple of further down the bench players for Lakeville North getting set to check in on the next dead ball. Ball into the hands of Evan Ryder. Dribble drive, kicking back outside. Gaining control is Cole Herring. Herring up and under, no good. And a rebound controlled by Alex Ryland.
A great take to the basket, just a little out of control. Just didn't quite set himself at the end. And he kind of threw it up under the rim, which is unfortunately just not going to go in from there.
54-34 is the score. Ryland, or no, check that. Now kick out to Calvin Pisola for three, up and no good. Rebound controlled by Doubles. Doubles, he is a lot like J.J. Bareas. There's a scrum on the floor and a timeout called by Doubles.
Very scrappy.
Yep.
Just kind of just, and you like that. Our coach always used to tell us that if you play more than a few minutes and you don't got a raspberry on your knee from getting on the floor and going after a dead ball, you didn't play hard enough.
Yep, and that's my mentality as a coach. That was my mentality as a player, and it's what got me about 1 minute of time.
But it's gotten us all the way here. And that's
amen,
yeah.
and it's got these kids all the way here. These kids, of course, you see two teams on the floor in their reds with their white numerals and white trim are the Lakeville North Panthers. Sitting on the year, they're 8-1. Or check that, I'm sorry, 7-1.
And surprisingly, and then they played Shakopee back on the 28th of December, a game that was last year, pardon the 4th of January, a 3-point victory. So certainly a little bit closer than what we're seeing here today.
That is for sure, and as you take a look at it, they're on a current 4-game winning streak, or 5-game, excuse me. Their only loss of the year is to Hopkins. And just think of that. They lost despite their star player scoring 48 points. And that's why you look across the way from, well, no, check that. That's the Hopkins girls. But, I mean, the Hopkins boys under Coach Novak has a very good squad as well. So, and now ball kicked outside to SMOKROVICH. SMOKROVICH to Dubs. Dubs up at the elbow. Back rim, front rim, no good. A couple of new players on the floor for Lakeville North include Carl Engwall and Jack Metlack. They join the floor with Nick Oblak for three, and it's good. That makes it 57-34. Oblak.
He's sporting the bright pink Nikes to go along with his powder blue socks. A lovely red jersey.
They're not about matching, that's for sure. We'll go that way. And now with the elbow sleeve, Ryder sets up the offense.
I think he's got more minutes in this game than anybody. I mean, he's been on the floor almost start to finish, even after he almost got his hand taken off.
Doubles, front rim, no good. Gets control of it. He is hustling, if anything. Now about 100 seconds left in the game. SMOKROVICH for three. And oh, that's just a tease.
That did everything but go in.
That was absolutely a tease, and a full complement of new players set to check in for Lakeville North on the next stoppage, which is right now off the foul. Taking a look at it, let's see, number 5, Paul Junkie. Number 11, Riley Perro. I believe, I think we are going to get Simon Olanapekin?
Sure. We'll call him Simon. That'll work for about 94 seconds here. Also checking in, going to be number 15 for Grand Rapids. That's Trevor Elhart. We've seen him earlier. And number 4, Josh Johnson, a senior, making his first trip out onto the floor.
Nate Anderson also in on the floor for Lakeville North. And this is where you see it. 94 seconds left. You mentioned it. The first free throw makes it 58-34. You're seeing now. Let's give him the chance. Second free throw, front rim, back rim, and no good. So now, now good. Check that. Makes it 59-34. 25 is the lead.
Because Alex Ilakainen and JP McCurra, they're going to get to play on a lot bigger stages. They're going to get a chance to play, in NCAA tournaments, things like that. But some of these guys, this is going to be the highlight of their basketball career. They're going to be able to go home and say, you know what, I got to play a game at the Target Center. I got a chance to do something.
And with that, Paul Junkie has the opportunity to say that not only did I play on the Target Center floor, but I traveled on the Target Center floor as he gives up the ball.
So we can say that I was very similar to every center in the NBA.
Oh, so true. What you say is so right, everything else seems wrong, Kyle.
Oh, my.
59-34, just over a minute to play. Little floater put up by Adam Thompson. And Thompson misses. A rebound by Josh Johnson, but he decided to do it piggyback style, and you can't do it.
Yeah, they don't allow that very often.
Yep.
From time to time, but most of the time they're going to call the penalty.
I mean, there are rules here. I think that's probably about as far as we can go with that reference, eh?
Yep.
As Simon goes to the line. Back rim, no good. So he can... Olanapekin. Oh, bless you. We'll just go with
Olanapekin, sure.
Second free throw up and no good. Regain control.
Keep it here.
Ooh, no, off the hands of Josh Johnson. So that's almost, it's basically, in a sense, another turnover. Keeping the ball, offensive rebound is the same thing as a turnover in my eyes. Front rim shot, no good. That time put up by Jack Metlack.
Well, if Jack Metlack can't make it on the floors of the NBA, there's certainly going to be a detective spot open for him somewhere.
I sure would hope so. Now a little jump up and under, and into the scoring column goes Jason Bibeau.
And now we can say something that I couldn't when I played here, that he made a basket, so good for him.
That's very true. All I've done is do some practice stuff here on the Target Center floor, so you're a leg up, clichédly, on me as well. And a double dribble call? Interesting. What happened was Riley Perro had a good step, but the ball got caught up on his hip just enough to kind of delay that dribble, and, well, also can't do that.
Good to see these referees, 29 seconds to go. Got to make sure we get the double dribble call in. No free rides with 30 seconds to go.
Well, I mean, it keeps to the integrity of everything as well. So now a ball zipped out into the game is Stephen Mackey. Fair assumption that Mr. Mackey would be his father, I would guess.
And the one thing I think that Lakeville can take away from this is if this remains the final score with 8 seconds to go, you held a team that averages nearly 30 points more to 59. You got to take something away from the game.
Yep. As now they are content with, missing the last shot. So your final 59-36. So Lakeville North takes it, definitely behind the strong performance of J.P. Makura. With the win, the Lakeville North Panthers improved to 9-1 on the year. Of course, this is non-conference. So 3-0 in the South Suburban Conference. No conference record for the Grand Rapids Thunderhawks, but with the loss, they drop to 8-3. Up next for the two teams, a game against Burnsville for Lakeville North, a conference matchup for them, and then a travel back home for the Thunderhawks of Grand Rapids. They will be taking on Pequot Lakes on Thursday. Up next for us, we are going to be hitting one more game here, Kyle and I, and we will be doing the Cretin-Durham Hall Raiders taking on the Bulldogs of Bettendorf, Iowa, as they are the #2 team in all of the state of Iowa. They were 61st in the most recent USA Today top 100 poll. So
coming off a 25-1 season last year, losing in the state championship.
Not a bad deal. Not a bad deal. And now we will head live down to J.P. Makura and Jeff Williams. So we'll head down to the Target Center floor. Jeff Williams, go ahead.
Thanks, Webster. We're here with J.P. Makura from Lakeville North. JP, you had 3 consecutive second-half dunks. Quite impressive performance there. Was that an exclamation point on the game for you?
A little bit. I was just in the gaps, anticipating some steals, and I got a few. And then I came down and got a few dunks. It was exciting.
Well, I understand you're heading on to Xavier next. Here you are playing on an end.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, this is my dream to be here one day, and if it happens, that'd be awesome.
All right, well, impressive performance today. Any thoughts on the game?
I think we played great. We just came off played lazy, but I think we played well.
Well, I see that with this final score of 59-36, you didn't quite get 48 points tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the W's for us.
All right, thank you, JP. Congratulations.
Nice sideline reporting by Jeffrey Williams and J.P. Makura. Yeah, he didn't score 48, but his team didn't score 86.
True.
So, I mean, he still had a good, solid 75% of his team scoring, which lately is about what he's doing.
And he clearly put the dagger in those 3 dunks. And again, if you get a chance, I mean, if you didn't see it and you get a chance at that third dunk, he took off from the block. He took off from a good distance away, and he flushed it hard. And the thing you like to hear, the thing that I'm proud to hear, is he said, it's not about me scoring 48, it's about getting a W. And that talks about teamwork, that talks about where his mind is. And it's good to hear, because you hear so many young, talented athletes say, I didn't score 48, but I scored this, or I did that. And when I turns into team, you tend to have a better experience.
It's so much better, and as a coach of youth as well, it's nice to hear and to be able to be a part of. And I want to thank Jeff Williams, who is a great sideline reporter. We're going to be coming up next, Bettendorf v. Cretin-Durham Hall, and Kyle and I will have the call on that one. Again, it's on prep45.com, powered by Grand Stadium TV. For Kyle Lindblom, I'm Webster Ford. Come back. We'll talk to you in a little while.